Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we've come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we've come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. Let us make a joyful sound. Here we stand on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound. Here we stand on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound. Hey, 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 hey. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we've come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. Let us make a joyful sound. Here we stand on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound. Here we stand on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound. Hey, 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 hey. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah.
Hi, welcome. My name is Thomas DeShooter, and I want to thank you for joining us here today. And I'd like to dive into the conversation about beingness and the whole idea of being, and also with this being June, the early part of June, of course, this month we celebrate the power of imagination, one of our 12 powers. And let's start there. Let's start with imagination, which is located right here, right between our eyes. And I would say that what's great about imagination is it has a direct relationship to our beingness, to who we're being in the world. And so if you could just pause for a moment here, and I'll use the word imagine, just imagine who you could be in the world. That's really what there is to do with imagination, is to imagine who we could be in the world. And when you think about that, I mean, just think about this for a moment. Going back through your life, anything you've accomplished, anything you've done or created in your life, at some point began as an idea, a thought in our imagination. We imagined for ourselves something that we could do, or something that we wanted to attract into our lives. And then through activity, through action, through continuing to imagine that showing up, it's come about. It actually happens in our lives. Now, it may not look exactly the way we imagined it. And in some cases, it might even be greater than we ever imagined it. And that's okay. But that's really the basis, the beginning of being. So if you think of being somebody in the world, if you think of showing up in the world a certain way, and you use your imagination to imagine that for yourself, that is really the introduction to beingness. Now, in my mind, there's 3 stages of being that there's 3 stages of being that amount to our full beingness. And so the first one you could say is the ability to be, to just be with what is, and to be with what is not. And so we have this idea that life should be a certain way, or this should have gone in a certain pattern, or I should have had, or should have, they should have, whatever that is. And when we think in those terms, when we actually move forward in life or attempt to move forward in life using those terms of a way it should be, well, most of the time, at least in my experience, and I can only speak from my experience, but most of the time what I have found is it doesn't work so well. That really, when I want to truly be present and have life working for me, what I've learned is I have to be with what is and what is not. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm going to be necessarily happy about the situation or I'm going to be sad about the particular situation. It just means getting myself in a place, or getting yourself in a place of being with what is and with what is not. The second part of that is, the second part of being is being with ourselves. And this isn't in any particular order, by the way, but number 2 here on my list is being with ourselves. And so what does that look like for you? Are you okay with who you are currently? Is there something that you are aiming for in your life? Is there something that you are chasing after, that you have, like an idea out there that you're shooting for? And in that, you're developing who you are. And are you okay with being with yourself? If you're like a lot of people I know, and especially a lot of people that I've come to know at Unity, is one of the things that they've discovered that they had to work on was loving themselves. And that's an element of being with ourselves, being comfortable with everything that's going on within ourselves. And if we're not comfortable with it, getting to work on it. Right? When you look within, when you take the time to look within ourselves and see, why is something triggering me the way it is, this is, why do I feel this way? Why are these emotions coming up for me? That's really the beginning of learning to be with ourselves, is first noticing what's going on. Hey, I don't feel good right now. Well, what is that? I'm feeling a certain way. Well, why is that? Where is that coming from? And this is the process of learning to be with ourselves, to be with who we are. And if we can learn to love that, to actually love that part of us, whichever part we're looking at, instead of beating ourselves up, that is the basis for being with ourselves. That puts us on a foundation for living where the outside world no longer seems to take hold in the same way it used to. Things out there don't trigger us the way they used to. When we begin to get comfortable with being with ourselves, the activities out there can no longer dictate what's going on in here, in our heart space, in our head space, in our wisdom space. And I guess the third part of this is being with others. Our ability to be with others, be with them the way they are. Maybe they're not exactly how we thought they should. Love that. They should be. But being with others and learning to step outside of judgment, step outside of expectation of how somebody should act. Now, that doesn't mean we have to condone people's actions. That doesn't mean we need to stay around people that maybe we don't feel comfortable with. And inside of that, there's a way to be with that, and there's a way to respond to that. And so being with others is really about putting our egos aside. Instead of having to have the whole conversation be about you, maybe being with others looks like asking a lot of questions, getting engaged and involved in their life. And what I found when I do that, when I actually take the time to be with somebody and really connect with them and learn to appreciate and understand them, it comes back. They notice. And I think back to when I was taking my spiritual counseling classes, all of the focus, well, not all, but most of the focus was on our ability, our learning around being with somebody and listening with the intention of having their experience be that they've been heard. Right? Of getting it to the point where that other person feels like they have been seen and heard by you or by me in that instance. And think about this for yourself. When you feel like somebody is really hearing you and really seeing you, doesn't that feel good? Doesn't it feel great to be acknowledged, to be seen and heard? And so when we can give that to somebody else, what a gift. What a gift that we can bestow upon them by stepping out of the way of ourselves, putting our ego aside, and choosing to be present, fully present for somebody else. And so we have those three beings. So there's the ability to be, there's being with ourselves, and there's being with others. And if I were to wrap this up in a nice little bow, this is something I would look at and call being responsible for our lives. The whole idea of the 3 B's of beingness is really about being responsible. Taking on our life at a level that has us participate in all areas of it fully, where we can be, in the end, whatever we would like. So with that in mind, with this idea of being, using our imagination, we can project forward whatever it is that we would like to see in our lives. And that's really part of manifestation. In order to manifest something, in order to bring ourselves into the beingness of a certain way, we need our imagination. We need to use that and develop it as it's already done. That whole idea of it's already been given. I think the Bible scripture from Jesus is something to the effect that it's the Father's great pleasure. So you could see that as it's the universe's great pleasure to provide whatever it is that we have set ourselves to. And imagination is great. And with imagination must come faith, must come absolute faith that this is going to be. And from that, we get to be exactly who we want to be. And so let's take a moment. Let's pause here and allow ourselves to settle in. And call upon our imagination. And I invite you to imagine, and maybe you've seen a movie picture or a video online of a certain somebody walking through this beautiful field with the grass high, and they're walking along and their hands are out, just skimming the surface of the tall grass. I want you to imagine that this is you right now in this moment. You are actually walking through this field. The sun is shining down on you. It's beautiful. It's an open field in the distance. You can see some trees. The sky is blue. And it's playing out in slow motion as you walk along with your arms stretched out and your hands just surfing over the tops of the grass, the waist-high grass that you're walking through. And maybe you're taking a moment now and you're slowly spinning around in a circle, just experiencing this beautiful setting that you're in. And as you're walking forward, as you continue forward, you can feel this gentle breeze just kissing against your face as you walk forward. And the sun is hot, but that breeze just offers this nice cooling experience. And as you continue forward, you realize that you're coming to the end of the tall grass and there's this clearing. And in this clearing, there's this little path that leads to this perfectly placed, cushion-sized rock. And you think, oh, I'm gonna go sit down. I'm gonna go have a little moment. And so you get to the rock and you sit down with the sun coming down against your face. So you're facing the sun. You cross your legs. It's the perfect height for you to cross your legs in front of you. And you rest your hands on your knees with your hands open up to the universe. And you just tilt your head slightly up to the sun and eyes are closed, feeling the warmth. And take a nice deep breath in. Let that go. Maybe a little gentle smile on your face. Let's take a few moments here in the silence. Just imagine that any thoughts that are coming are just moving along. Nothing's getting stuck. You're at peace. And at the sound of the bell, I'll bring us back. And gently bringing yourself back, maybe stretching out your fingers, your toes, moving your shoulders, taking a nice deep inhale, letting that go. So imparting the 3 B's of beingness. Being with what is, being with ourselves, being with others, and then overall combining those into being responsible. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Thomas DeShooter. Have an amazing day. Namaste.
I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought I have the power to change my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought I have the power to change my life. And if you ask me who am I am wisdom, I am light, I am more than meets the eye, I cannot be defined. I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought I have the power to change my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought I have the power to change my life. And if you ask me what am I am beauty, I am joy, I am more than meets the eye, I cannot be defined. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts I have the power to change my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts I have the power to change my life. I can choose to be the light that brightens someone's darkest night. I'm so much more than meets the eye,